Welcome back to Bookmarksman Breadsticks, where I still can't entirely tell if I'm in focus. So if I go in and out of focus this entire video, I do apologize. I got home at 2 a.m. last night. This morning, realized I didn't have a video for Saturday. I thought I had filmed an extra. So here we are. It's Friday. I'm very tired. Today, I am here to actually do a book unhaul. So in the last year, I really realized and fell in love with the fact that there is a whole world of food-related content in the fiction world, like romantic comedies with food, young adult books with food, and fiction books with food. And I went a little book crazy. All of the books I'm going through today are used books and will be donated to my little free library out front. You guys will see in my next or an upcoming video, I actually expanded my little free library, so it now has two little libraries, like two different boxes, libraries. You guys will see it in another video. So these books will always have a second chance with me, which is to go into the little free library. But I've had these books for a year, and my ratio of reading is still 70% nonfiction and 30% fiction. So I really have to be in the right mood, and I am finding that contemporary fiction, contemporary young adult, and contemporary romantic comedy, romance with a food spin is where I'm happy. I tend to find that the classic books or perhaps more literary fiction is actually not really for me. There's also a couple books on here that are nonfiction, maybe one or two, that I just didn't enjoy, and they need to go on to a new home. I'm really proud though that because of it, I managed to clear off I have this little freestanding bookshelf. It's about, 3 cubes, and I managed to get all of it empty, which is a big, good goal for me. Reward? Goal? Anyway, let's get into it. If at any point there's any of these books that you guys think, Kim, you really gotta read this, let me know. Part of me is recognizing I have a library, a public library, and that maybe wow, I can speak. That might be the best place for me to get these more fiction or foodie fiction books as a net whole, because I might not love them. That's why I'm getting rid of a lot of them. I'm not naturally drawn to pick them up. But at a library, I can return them versus all of these books. But again, it's okay. It's good to purge. I believe in purging. I think it's really good for me to make room for books that I am excited to read, and I am going to put them on in the little free library. If they're not going to go in my little free library, there is a whole network of little free libraries throughout the United States. There is a free app you can download, and you can actually search your neighborhood by zip code to find a little free library near you. So if you're someone who's afraid to get rid of books, don't forget that you always have the option to donate them to little free libraries. Okay, for real, let's get started. First up is a book I actually DNF'd. It is Becoming Trader Joe, and it is How I Did Business My Way and Still Beat the Big Guys by the founder of Trader Joe's. I found this book poorly edited and arranged. It was boring, and I found him very pretentious. It's unfortunate. It is a 2021 release, I believe, and I was very excited to buy it last year. I even pre-ordered it, and I got 65 pages in because I just found him completely insufferable. I just found him going, and then I did this and everything worked out. I'm a genius. And I don't know. Writing style rubbed me the wrong way. This is not a memoir. This is definitely a business book, 10 business things I did. Half of them I lucked out on, blah, blah, blah. The rest of these are honestly, I'm not even gonna read the back covers for you because I largely don't remember what they're about, and that's part of the reason they're going away. So here we go. This is, maybe I can give you general genre. This is gonna be fiction, The Curious Case of Coconut Cake. I'm sorry, The Coincidence of Coconut Cake. This is by Amy E. Reichert. From Betsy Carter, I have Lost Souls of the Neptune Inn, hardcover. Next up, I have a contemporary book, but one I'm just not going, it's a retelling of Little Women, Meg and Joe by Virginia Cantra. I believe that she has more than one book that focuses on the other Marsh sisters as well. Next up is The Overdue Draft. Wow. Next up is The Overdue Life of Amy Byler. This is by Kelly Harris. Next up is a hardcover, The Animators by Kyla Rae Whitaker. Next up is Homegoing by Yaya Gassi. This is a wonderful book. I know it's a Booktube darling. There's a lot of beautiful things to be said about this book, and I think it's a good book to put in a little free library. Next up is Bread and Butter by Michelle Wilden. This is about 3 brothers fighting over their restaurant. Next up is Under the Table by Stephanie Ivanovic. Ivanovic has many, many books. I feel like I'm like slowly shrinking out of frame, so forgive me if I'm like down here. I could adjust the camera. Adjust the camera, Kim. Yeah, we shrank a little. We're a little farther down on the bookshelf, but it's fine. These next 2 books I actually bought just for the little free library. Mexican Gothic and How to Find Love in a Bookshop. I love when there's I love Open Book Chicago. It is a nonprofit that sells used books. I used to volunteer there when I lived in Chicago, and I am a member. And if you're a member, every once in a while you get a blast about 50% off used book day, and that's when I pick up books for the little free library myself that are more current books. Like these are books that were published in the last 2 to 3 years, and I do that just so I can add them to the library. Next up is Cub by Paul Kokia. This is a male romance taking place in a restaurant chef background, but I believe Theo, our protagonist, he's 17 and he has a crush on his boss, and there's also a cooking competition involved. Next is Love and Writers by Lily King. I know Lily King is also another very beloved author. I believe Olive over at Book Olive loves this author, so I think it's a great addition to the little free library. Next up by Tamima Anand is The Startup Wife. I don't want to let this go because the cover is just so pretty and I think it would look great on a shelf, but I've had this book for a year now and I still haven't opened it. I still think about this book. I just don't open it. Next is The House on Mango Street. Next is a classic, which is by Jenny Colgan, Into Summer at the Beach Street Bakery. She has a whole series of these bakery here, bakery there. They're very nice beach reads. I'm sure the camera angle is now different and slightly tilted. My camera battery died. I swear the camera batteries are not meant to die this quickly, right? And I have 4 different camera batteries now, like including extended ones, and somehow, and it's not every time, but sometimes I sit down to film and I have maybe 10 minutes of footage and the battery dies and the battery's exhausted and it feels like the camera gets too hot. So if anyone has any solutions, please feel free to hit me up in the comments below, because I specifically bought this Sony camera because it was designed or marketed to be designed for vloggers and Booktube vlogging close enough. So I don't quite understand why it keeps getting so hot so quickly. So if you have a solution, hit me up below. Anyway, I believe I've gotten through about 20 books so far, or close to. I think there's 25 in total that I'll be donating. So let's carry on and wrap up this video. Next up is The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake by Amy Bender. This has a little bit of like a magical realism to it, I think. Yes, the protagonist can taste her mother's emotions in every slice, or the protagonist can taste the emotions of the people who bake the food. Next up is actually a book I think I bought from a library book sale for the little free library, but somehow it was sitting on my shelf, probably because I had intent to read it, or I had intentions to read it and still haven't. So that is Let Them Have Cake. Another is from a local Buffalo author, and this is The Ancient Evil versus the Good Boy by Zachary Finn. It's about a dog. Next up is The Friendship Cake by Lynn Hinton. Next up is The Olive Farm by Carol Drinkwater. This cover is really pretty though, and I am sad to see this go. Next is by Joanne Harris. She is the writer of Chocolat, and this is Blackberry Wine. This one is a rather new book. I think it came out in the last 2 years. A Recipe for a Perfect Wife, a novel by Karma Brown. I thought this book was not going to be about murder, but I'm pretty sure that this woman is, She finds notes from the this woman buys a house, she moves in, and she finds letters from the housewife that originally lived there in the 1950s, and I think there's murder involved. Next up is a young adult, Hope Was Here. It's a Newbery Honor book and winner of the Christopher Award and an ALA notable book. So, oh, it actually has the Newbery symbol on it. Pretty cool. And finally, this was a book I actually picked up from a different little free library, and it is a Book of the Month version of The Last Equation by Isaac Severy. I thought my sister might want to read it, and then I've forgotten every time I've seen her to give it to her, so why not put a beautiful hardcover in the little free library? So there you go. That's about 25 books I will be unhauling and donating to either my little free library or other little free libraries in the neighborhood. Don't forget that you also have the opportunity to donate and unhaul books. Little free libraries are all about the idea of take a book, give a book, and there is an app which I'll link in the description below. It is free and you can search by your zip code to find a little free library near you. If you've made it this far in the video, which hopefully it's not that long, leave me a strawberry emoji because I'm growing strawberries in my garden and they're actually alive and doing well. And if there's any book that you saw me walk through that you go, I absolutely think you need to keep this and read this, hit me up in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my last book review, which was about Kabar. I always find that when I do individual book reviews, I just don't get really high views on them. So I would really appreciate your support, especially because the University of Iowa sent that book to me for review. So if you could head on over and watch that video and give it a like, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Because I had moved from 2 videos a week to 1 video a week, I think the algorithm is punishing me and really hiding my videos from you guys, so I'd appreciate any support. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.